we're the victims, this whole Republican snowflake thing. Let me just lay out for you what just happened in the U.S. House of Representatives. When Bill Clinton was impeached, there was a special prosecutor, Ken Starr, that the Justice Department had appointed. When Richard Nixon was impeached, there were two special prosecutors. First it was Archibald Cox, and then Nixon fired him, and then it became Leon Jaworski. And as I recall, now I may be wrong, it may be the Congress appointed these special prosecutors, but I think that they were appointed by the Department of Justice, by the Attorney General. And in both cases, that special prosecutor convened a grand jury. There was one in the Nixon impeachment, and there was one in the Clinton impeachment, as I recall. And the grand jury hears testimony in secret, and they listened to hundreds of witnesses. I know in the course of the Clinton impeachment, it probably was hundreds, and in Nixon it may have been fewer than that. And they boil all this stuff down to a set of indictments, basically saying, okay, here's what we perceive to be the actual crimes, and then they hand that off to Congress. Now, this is exactly, by the way, what happened with Robert Mueller. Jeff Sessions was the Attorney General, he appointed a special prosecutor, Robert Mueller, to look exclusively into whether Russia interfered in our elections. And Robert Mueller, and his gang of prosecutors, I mean, they busted some 30-odd people. Michael Cohen's in jail right now, Paul Manafort's in jail right now because of their efforts. And they turned their findings over to Congress after Bill Barr lied to us about them for a whole month. The problem, of course, was that their findings were basically smeared by Bill Barr. Well, now you've got Donald Trump committing impeachable and committing bribery. I mean, the Constitution says that a president shall be impeached for treason, bribery, or high crimes and misdemeanors. And bribery is when you offer something to somebody else for something of value. And Donald Trump was offering military aid to Ukraine if the president of Ukraine would go on CNN and say, we're investigating whether Joe Biden's son is a crook, and Joe Biden himself. And we think he is. I mean, that was the quid pro quo, right? That was the deal. So Bill Barr, the Attorney General, should have appointed a special prosecutor to look into this, who would have impaneled a grand jury, who would right now be hearing testimony in secret. But Bill Barr, being the cover-up artist he is, and if you have any doubts about that, just Google his name and my name, both in quotes, and you'll get several articles I've written about this, or get my book, The Hidden History of the Supreme Court and the Betrayal of America. There's a chapter in there about Republican presidents with several pages, 3 or 4 pages. I think it's page 114 or 118, specifically about how Bill Barr, did the cover-up in 1992 of Iran-Contra. So Bill Barr is refusing to appoint a special prosecutor. So Congress, needing the information that they need for an impeachment inquiry, has to get it themselves. And so the Intelligence Committee was holding a hearing this morning, and the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense, Laura Cooper, was testifying. Now, Trump had told her not to testify, and she said, I'm going to do it anyway. So here's the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense speaking in a closed-door session to the Intelligence Committee, which has, it's half Republicans and half Democrats. And a group of Republican members of Congress came bursting in through 3 different doors into the committee room. Now, you're not supposed to bring electronic devices like phones into these hearings at all. They all had their phones with them and stuff. Some of them were recording, apparently, this. You're not supposed to go in at all. And this is a stunt. They did this purely for Fox News, for this sales pitch that they're saying that the Democrats are excluding Republicans from the impeachment process, and therefore it's an entirely partisan process, which is complete BS. Every member of the Intelligence Committee is, if they're not in the room, they certainly have the ability and right to be in the room. I mean, somebody might have left to use the bathroom or go vote or something, but basically it is the entire committee, Republicans and Democrats. So these guys don't even have a legitimate complaint. They are manufacturing propaganda. Oh, we're Republican, we're conservative snowflakes, and we're so taken advantage of all the time. It's so sad. So Louise said we've had several calls from people going, what the hell is going on? You know, is the impeachment hearing being held behind closed doors? Yes, because you've got to gather the information before you have the open hearings. And Bill Barr refuses to do it, which is his job, by the way, is to hire somebody to do it, you know, a special prosecutor. He won't do it. So Adam Schiff is having to do it himself. But there's nothing untoward about this. There's nothing wrong with this. This is a completely normal process.